November was a lot of months. We opened it with the final frantic days of campaign season, watched the election returns tell us our country had decided to invest in fear and turn inward. We watched as people celebrated with hate. We grieved together, alone, at home, at church. We moved more slowly through these weeks, a common bodily response to crisis. Our educators were on strike for what has now become the longest teachers' strike since at least the 1990s. I couldn't find firm numbers. No one knows better than they do the impact this loss of classroom days and consistency has had on our children, our teachers, on the patterns of our schools. Now they work to reestablish norms and relocate the momentum of their year. We marked Thanksgiving, a holiday with painful origins that marks the legacy of colonial harm, with the very American spin of revised history and celebration. And yet, it is a day so many are given off of work, not everyone, but many. And in the chaos of 21st century life, the work of robust meal preparations, sitting around a table together with the family you have or the family you choose or the beloved friends or sometimes new friends you are just making. That is a valuable ritual to repeat. And so now it is December 1st. I no longer keep a paper calendar on my wall, but I find myself longing for that old practice of flipping the page to a new month. The feel of the heavy, glossy paper between my fingers as I reveal the next image. A small turning to the new, 12 times each year. New squares stretched ahead, just waiting to be filled, some of them already filled. The opportunity to try on new patterns, new ways of being, and in this season of Advent, anticipation. The counting down to the holidays at the end of the month, and they are all at the end of the month this year. Each day a step closer to this new Christmas tradition of mine, gathering with another minister friend and her spouse and their young child. Low-key, joyous day, just the four of us. This month, our theme is presence. And I'll be honest, this year it is going to take some real work to bring myself back into the presence of preparing for this holiday season. Anyone else feeling that? 2025 is going to bring us opportunity for a lot of community building work. Resistance, continued uncertainty. So as I was looking at this theme of presence, I found in it an invitation to renew the tools that prepare me to care most fully for myself, for you, for the other communities I call my own. How can we be present to ourselves most fully? And how can being present give us tools to sustain us through what may come? How is it with your soul. I turned to this poem, Mending, and I've read it many times before, because I think it is written for souls such as ours in this time. A reminder in the very first stanza, much can be mended. Mending is a beautiful metaphor for giving yourself the tools for being present. What do you think of when you let your mind wander to mending? I recall the first thing that I mended. As a high school student, I kept the books for our softball team, because I have terrible hand-eye coordination. So I was on the bench for every game, but always in my own clothing. That matters. Because the details are fuzzy after 30 plus years, and so perhaps I slid over on the bench to make room for a friend, or maybe someone hit a home run and I leapt forward to cheer while also noting in my book precisely where the ball had been hit. Somehow, the head of a nail went straight through the seat of my favorite jeans. Do you remember being 15 and having favorite jeans? It was just devastating to have a hole in my favorite jeans. And so I remember going home and cutting a patch from leftover fabric I'd found in the hall closet. Threading a needle to hand sew the green floral pattern onto my pants. I couldn't fix my jeans that day. I couldn't return them to their pre-ripped perfection. I couldn't afford to replace them with an identical pair. But I could mend them. I'd see that patch every time I slipped my jeans on. Others would see my patch and guess that I had done some repair work. It had the added bonus in 1990s rural Vermont of being really cool to have patches on your jeans. Mending my jeans offered them renewal. They didn't find their way into the trash that day. And it's possible my mending gave my pants a much longer life than they'd have had otherwise, because I wore them through high school, and then they became my favorite campfire jeans sometime in college, permanently stained by wiping my greasy and sooty fingers on them. And each year, for many, many years, I'd pull them out to wear on fire building day at day camp. I finally threw them away in 2012. Mending our own selves is an everyday project, a spiritual practice of check-in and care that invites us more fully into life. It can be done anywhere, but it is best done in the moments you have set aside. This mending is not a continual thing throughout the day, though that is important too. You aren't walking around with the needle and thread for your soul, adding stitches every so often. Instead, you must gather up your materials. A notebook, perhaps? A sketchbook? The earbuds to block out the noise? Your car keys or your walking shoes? The question you must ask yourself before you can begin the day's mending: how is it with your soul? These things you gather up and find yourself a space and a time for that day's mending. Perhaps you have only 5 minutes. That's okay. Maybe you can enjoy the luxury of 30. So you gather your materials. You move your body if you need to. Do your mending in the parking lot while your kids are in an activity. Write, draw, color, knit. Put on soft instrumental music or crank the volume as you dance and sing to your favorite band. Throughout it all, keep that question to the forefront. How is it with your soul? I have set aside my own time for my daily mending, building a practice that I hope to maintain for the coming months. That work to care for my spirit and my soul that will help me return the next day. In this past month, I have been someone who normally reads the news regularly. In this past month, I have not. I've glanced at headlines, and then I've put them aside. But I know that I cannot participate as fully in this life if I do that for a long time. And so I will be mending. Each morning, I will take that shiny new notebook and a crisp pen and my coffee, and I will sit at my desk in my home office in front of the happy light, because let's be honest, we need that in winter. I will mend myself. I will ask myself, how is it with my soul? I will be honest. I will be reflective. I don't know what will happen. Some days I will have 5 minutes, and some days I will have 30. Some days that mending will be painful. Always, that mending will be heart-opening. Beloveds, build the practices of being present with yourself now. Take the time to build what sustains you into your everyday. Nurture your own soul so that when you walk through your door out into our world, you can be present to what it gives us. You can have the self-awareness to know when to close the door and say, nope, too much, because that will happen, and when to inch it open further, when to pick up the phone and text someone, I need you. I don't need you to do anything. Just sit with me today. Know when you want to show up in public, responding to our world, and know that each day you will return to your mending, to rest in yourself, care for your spirit, put on those patches. Nothing will be new again, but you can build on your beautiful soul. May it be so.